Alright, so guys, I'm in love with true crime. I'm like addicted to it. I actually watch it on my off time. But you know what? I've decided I want to watch it with you guys, you know? You know that? True crime with Deji. TCWD. Alright? Let's get it. Alright? True crime with Deji. I can't wait. You know what? I'm ready. I'm ready. Got the headphones on. You know what? We're gonna see what a psychopath looks like. Alright? What a psychopath. So I'm curious. I'm pretty sure you're curious too. Maybe you're a psychopath. We'll find out. All right, let's go.
I never wanted to hurt my sister. I just wanted to protect her from that's it. But if you want to hear how she died, I don't know.
Okay. Was she laying on the ground?
Yes, and
so you told her to lay down?
Right, and she was fully conscious, and she was talking to me during it. If I tell you this now, I mean, you're recording this. I don't have to say it in court or anything, right?
I don't know that for sure.
I mean, I really don't want to talk about this that much.
18-year-old Keith Randulich made a short but harrowing call to 911 on May 22, 2009. When the dispatcher answered, Keith said simply, "Come over quick," and hung up. A few minutes later, he called back and this time said, "Get over here," before he once again put down the phone. Keith was urgently calling for help because his little sister lay dying in the basement. After calling, he stood looking out the windows of the home where he lived with his mother, stepfather, 2 brothers, and little sister, anxiously waiting for the emergency services to arrive. When he didn't see any flashing lights, he made a third call to 911, but this call was even more chilling than the previous 2. When the police arrived at—
Alright, I'm gonna be real, I'm scared. Oh god, okay. I'm full of shit. I'm scared of true crime. Oh, gosh, this stuff gives me goosebumps, man. Oh. Alright, yo, firm it, man. Stop being a pussy, Dej. Come on. Actual photos of crime scene. Oh, alright, let's do it, man. Come on.
At 7:54 p.m., Keith was standing at the front door to greet them. He was covered in blood. It was all over his pants, socks, sweatshirt, as well as his face and hands.
What?
When police struggled to find the injured little girl, they asked Keith where she was, and he quickly told them, in the basement. Keith's 16-year-old brother had been playing video games upstairs in his room. He had no idea that a horrific incident had just occurred in the home. That is, until he saw the flashing lights from the police cars as they pulled up.
What?
He then came down and asked what was going on. Officers ordered both boys to get on the ground, and they were handcuffed and searched for weapons. Neither had any on them, but Keith told the police that it's in the room with her. The child, 4-year-old Sabrina Clement, was found lying on her back in a pool of blood on the basement floor with wounds to her throat.
Wait, how old was she?
The child, 4-year-old Sabrina Clement.
Man said 4, bruv. Oh, man needs an elbow and just needs a straight. Nah, bruv.
Was found lying on her back in a pool of blood on the basement floor with wounds to her throat. The blood saturated into the carpet below her. A household steak knife was on the ground, lying between her legs and feet, covered in what appeared to be blood.
What?
She was wearing a multicolored shirt that was pulled up around her chest with pink shorts and socks. The emergency responders checked for any signs of life, but they were far too late.
Bruv.
The house was searched, and on the ground level, investigators also found 7 red stains on the kitchen floor, the sink, and the counter. The spots were already dry. They found a wall-mounted telephone covered in blood. As well, the blood droplets were on the carpet and stairs leading down to the basement.
What the hell?
The 2 teen boys, Keith and his brother, were taken into custody to the Will County Sheriff's Office. Keith was quiet on the ride over, not speaking to any of the officers. At the station, Keith's brother was questioned first. Once officers determined he had no helpful knowledge about what happened, he was escorted from the station. But now, Keith was ready to talk, and no one was prepared for the chilling and disturbing story he was about to tell. Due to the unsubstantiated nature of some of the accusations seen in this interrogation, portions have been omitted and summarized. The following interrogation has been analyzed by a qualified team, including a licensed attorney and a licensed clinical psychologist.
The Will County Investigation Office, downtown Joliet here.
Yes.
You've been moved from the Mokina Police Department here. I have to ask you once again, did any police officers ever talk to you about the incident that happened today so far? Ask you any questions on what happened.
Okay, wait, yes, I forgot to...
So what makes him a psychopath? Well, obviously, like, he killed not his daughter, his sister. But what do you mean? I want to know what he's gonna say, bro. I'm actually mad curious.
I mentioned this
Okay.
right when I went in the car the first time.
Okay.
Not the police officer in that car, but another police officer just said, what was in your what was going through your blank mind?
Okay.
Right off the bat, Keith is cooperative with officers. He maintains eye contact and speaks clearly with them. His choice to not cuss in front of the officers could be a sign that he is compliant and feels a level of respect towards them.
But that's as much as...
That's all that was asked, so they didn't ask any particulars or anything like that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you need a water?
No.
No bathroom breaks?
No.
You're all good?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay? Very good.
These initial gentle words and actions are done to build some level of trust and rapport with Keith in anticipation of the coming interrogation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll be back in 1 second.
Isn't this kind of like teaching you, like, if you're being interrogated? Be like, oh, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to build rapport. Dickhead, nice try. I ain't complying.
Okay?
Okay.
Although some dismiss body language analysis as pseudoscience, it's used by the FBI and CIA during interrogations. When the CIA is interrogating an individual, they look for clusters of 3 or more indicators that occur in either quick succession or all at once. These indicators can be signs of discomfort or uncertainty in what the individual is stating, rather than indicators of deception. It's extremely important to note that you cannot detect deception through body language analysis alone. The way he holds his arms around his body, like he's hugging himself, is a self-soothing technique in a protective position and could be an indication that Keith is uncomfortable, either with his current situation or with what has just occurred. He seems to be unintentionally trying to make himself look small or insignificant. This could be a defense mechanism of trying to appear innocent. If he is smaller and talks softly, it is hard to imagine he could commit a horrific crime. The officers leave Keith alone in the interrogation room for over 11 minutes. The entire time, he remains almost totally motionless, staring down at the floor or at the red stains covering his pants.
Bruv, that's kind of mad that you can tell all of this by body language. So if I'm like this, people just know like, oh, okay, yeah, he's uncomfortable, bro. Hey, yo, or if I'm like this, like, oh, yo, he gay, bro. Alright, serious mode. Come on, serious mode. Oh, this is gonna scare me though. This is my tactic. I make myself laugh so I don't get scared.
Hi, Keith. I know I introduced myself back at the station, but if you didn't remember, I'm Detective Rothan, and I'm with the Mokina Police Department. Yes. And if you want to, throughout the interview, call me Jason if you want, or Jay. Jay? That's fine, okay? You like to be called Keith?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is Detective...
I'm Detective Trakey. I'm with the Sheriff's Office, that's why we came here.
Okay.
So, okay.
You go to Lincoln Way?
Yes.
Okay.
East.
East?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are you, a senior?
Yeah.
Getting ready to graduate?
I was.
When does school end?
The last day is like June 1st.
June 1st. Okay.
How you doing at school?
I was gonna graduate.
So this is all tactics to like be friendly. So it'd be like, see, we're friendly, you see. Now tell us everything, you dickhead. Oh, I'll shoot you. Nah, but whatever happened to good guy, bad cop? Good guy, bad cop? Good cop, bad cop? Is that not a thing anymore? Maybe it don't work. What do you know? I don't know.
I had all A's, 1 C in English, but...
Yeah, it's cool.
I was...
Oh, you got a C, huh? Dickhead! Why'd you kill?
It's fine, you know.
The officers start out with small talk, trying to build a rapport and comfort level with Keith. These kinds of easy questions can get a suspect to feel more comfortable talking before the officers move on to the more important questions. Already, Keith is using past tense when describing how he was going to graduate.
Huh. You taking a class?
Because the dickhead knows his life's done. So all that red stuff is blood. That's nuts. This guy's a dickhead. Surely we should just... Come we just mash him up right now? Yeah?
Or sports or anything?
No, but I mean... Yeah, I had a future, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't do this for no reason.
No.
Keith immediately acknowledges that he's done something without any denial. This shows that he's aware there will be consequences for his actions. Keith continues speaking in a respectful, clear, and cooperative manner. None of these behaviors typically align with psychopathy, although it's important to note that some psychopaths can present this way at first.
Okay. Well, we want to talk to you about what occurred.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read you your constitutional rights before we do that, okay?
Okay.
Keith takes responsibility for the incident right away. However, even though he may appear to be admitting some level of guilt, this is technically not an admission because there weren't enough specifics about the crime in his response or in the question he was asked.
So why don't we just do this, Keith? Why don't we just start? Did you have school today?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you just start with how your day went? When you got out of school, what you did? Why don't you just take us through your day?
After I went out of school or before?
No, when you left school. You got out of school 2:45 or 2:30?
Right. Went home.
The interrogators are establishing a timeline of his day.
I don't understand, bruv. Just play like PlayStation or something. Like, why do you have to pick up a knife and just slit? Just play PlayStation. Buy a VR headset, bruv, and do it there. You know what I mean? Then, it's still weird. I mean, tell that to XQC, you know what I mean?
The interrogators are establishing a timeline of his day. This sort of information is basic background, but it starts to help officers develop elements of the alleged crime, motive, opportunity, means, access, and so on.
I talked to my mom about moving out. She said that I could stay, but she said that I just told her that, what was it? I said that I wanted to move out and to a friend's house, but I didn't really want to do that.
It's only now that Keith starts to show signs that he's uncomfortable. Before, he was able to keep himself still, but as soon as he starts talking, he begins wringing his hands. He also looks down at his hands and hesitates, all which are signs of anxiety.
I got a firearm permit last week, and I wanted to buy a firearm, and she said I couldn't do that. So I was lying and saying I would move to a friend's house if she wouldn't let me buy it.
Keith emphasizes that he lied to his mother, and his tone indicates that this is not only something he is aware of, but something that is meaningful to him. This could be evidence that Keith is a rule follower, or maybe a bit rigid in his personal concept of right and wrong. He's an 18-year-old adult, so technically he's not lying to his mother when he threatens to move out. However, he considers this a lie, which could be an indication of a very strict adherence to what he believes is right and wrong. This will become very important later.
Okay.
And I wanted to use this because I'm my little sister.
Keith alleges to the officers that he believed his 4-year-old sister was being assaulted by a family member. He claims that because he couldn't kill her abuser, he killed his half-sister instead in order to protect her. The allegations that Keith makes have never been proven, and the police have not found any—
Wait. He couldn't kill the abuser, so he kills her instead. What sense does that make? That makes no sense. What? This guy's... Oh, bro, these lot are nuts, bro.
The evidence of the claims being true.
I would tell my parents, and they would never do anything about it. And they would say, like, don't snitch and things like that.
This is another piece of evidence which indicates that Keith has a rigidity and strict adherence to acting morally, or what he believes to be correctly.
That's how that happens. So.
You confronted your parents about?
Multiple occasions for like the past 2 years.
In the third call Keith made to 911 that night, he told the dispatcher that he had murdered his sister with a knife.
What the fuck was that noise? Was that this? Bruv, this shit scared me. Oh my gosh. Why was it that loud? Oh, that noise just pissed me off. This whole video just angered me now. Why?
He told the dispatcher that he had murdered his sister.
Just that noise alone scared me. I was like, who's here? I want to break someone's face, bro.
He told the dispatcher that he had murdered his sister with a knife. As soon as he answered the door to the responding emergency services, he told officers without hesitation, but in a soft voice, it was me. The blood covering much of his clothing already appeared to be dry by the time the police got to the home.
I killed my sister. He had nothing to do with it. He was in his room. I told him he was watching her because my parents and were at his dance. He was watching her. I said I would watch her. So he went up to his room. I took her down to my room, which is the basement, and we just watched SpongeBob, and she said she wanted to paint with me. So I took out a knife, and it's very disturbing. I would never have did it. But I just wanted to protect my little sister from my...
Keith is very uncomfortable as he speaks. He struggles to describe killing his sister, becoming fidgety, and continues to wring his hands. His voice changes and becomes shaky and takes on an emotional tone. Though the officers remain quiet and do not indicate any judgment with their body language, in the hopes that Keith will continue giving them details about the crime, he struggles to make eye contact. That is, until he begins to justify his actions. He looks clearly at the officer in black when he says he had to do it to protect his sister. By making eye contact at this point, it could indicate that it matters to Keith that the officer understands his reasoning, or that this is the part of what he is saying that he feels sure about, and therefore can look up when he says it.
So did you guys ever start painting?
Painting?
You said she wanted to paint with you.
Right, no, I told her that she had to lie down, and I would paint with her. That's what happened when I took out the knife.
Did you have the knife downstairs already? Where was the knife?
It was right here.
You had it inside your hoodie?
Yes.
How long had you been carrying the knife around?
Brought it like 5 minutes before I asked her to let me watch her.
Why did you want... How come you asked to let you watch her?
So that I could kill my sister.
See, I'm lost now. So my man killed his sister to protect her. She wanted to paint, so you chose the color red. Sorry. But it's just a bit... What?
When did you start thinking about that?
When my parents said that I couldn't buy my firearm, I knew that I couldn't kill her. But I never wanted to hurt my sister. I just wanted to protect her from my... That's it. But I mean, if you want to hear how she died, I don't know.
Okay. Was she laying on the ground?
Yes, and...
So you told her to lay down?
Right, and she was fully conscious, and she was talking to me during it. If I tell you this now, I mean, you're recording this, I don't have to say it in court or anything, right?
Though his body language, the fidgeting, shows that he's uncomfortable or anxious about what he's saying, Keith uses a rather flat and matter-of-fact tone when describing how he killed his sister. Yet his concern about having to speak publicly in court could be an indication of shame for his actions.
I don't know that for sure.
I mean, I really don't want to talk about this that much.
The autopsy would later reveal that the 40-pound little girl suffered from numerous and massive stab wounds to her neck. The disturbing reality of the crime is a stark contrast to the soft tone of voice Keith uses to describe it.
When he was upstairs.
This guy's a man. A 4-year-old who's your sister, and you. Well, I just don't understand. Like what? I mean, we're gonna understand, but. Oh, jeez.
Watching TV with her in the living room first.
Okay.
Then I went in there and said, let me watch her. So he went upstairs to his room, and then I took her downstairs to my room.
Did you have the knife at that point?
Here's what happened. I came up from my room. I did the dishes real quick. Then I just took a knife, put it in my hoodie right away. Then I walked right in there and said that.
So where did you get the knife?
Kitchen cabinet.
Did you have any conversation with her? You said that she was alert?
She was talking to me during it, and I was just trying to do it as quick as possible.
Okay.
But she was in a lot of pain.
Okay, could you... I know it's tough.
Yeah.
We'll get you through this.
Oh my days.
Could you describe to me how you did it?
Oh God.
Let's back up a minute. Could you tell me what kind of knife it was?
It wasn't a butter knife. It had like edges to it.
Like a steak knife type?
Right.
What kind of handle?
Just brown. It was like big.
Would you say like it was metal?
How big would you say?
The handle or the blade?
The whole knife.
Oh, the whole knife was maybe like this.
Okay. Was it one of those knives that you would find in your drawer with all your other forks and knives and spoons?
Yes, it was just like a steak knife. Okay. It wasn't anything like a weapon or anything.
Okay.
This is a noteworthy phrase.
Bruv, a steak knife is a weapon if you use it the wrong way. Bruv, my man needs to get slapped up.
It wasn't anything like a weapon or anything.
Okay.
This is a noteworthy phrase, since anything can be a weapon depending on how it's used. This sounds like some sort of psychological distancing from the means of the crime, as well as from the crime itself.
Wooden handle or something, or metal handle?
I think it was wooden.
Okay. And then you said you had her lay down on the ground?
Yeah, I told her to do that.
Okay. And this was in?
My room.
Your room, which is located?
The basement.
The basement, okay.
Did you tell her that you were going to do this?
No. I just said I love her, and then I took out the knife, and she smiled, and I made just a little cut of her neck, and I withdrew back because I was afraid, and then she screamed and grabbed her neck, and she said, "No, stop," but I started doing it again, and then she started talking to me, and she was still conscious and said, "Why are you killing me?" So then I started on the right side. She didn't talk anymore, but she was still breathing and had her eyes open. So I just ran upstairs and called the police. Then when I came back down, it looked like she died.
Now he becomes very emotional and his attention darts around as he struggles to make eye contact, which is an indication that he may feel remorse. It could also show that he is shameful about what he's done or fears judgment from the officers. The officers maintain their calm and understanding tone. With a suspect who is timid like Keith appears to be, this is the approach most officers will use, as being aggressive and confrontational will likely make him shut down and less likely to talk.
When you ran upstairs, did you find your brother? Did your brother find you?
No, he was in his room, the living room. We had a family phone in the kitchen. So I went to the family phone. I dialed the police. I just said, "Come here." I hung it up, went back downstairs, checked on her, and I went back up. I didn't hear any police cars, so I called again. I said, "Come here again." I hung it up. Then I looked outside for more. I was waiting. So then the police called back, so I picked it up. I said there was a murder, and then I was just explaining to them that I did it.
Where did you put the knife?
Oh, it was right next to her.
You just dropped it on the ground by her?
Yes.
Okay.
Where were you when the police came?
I was waiting for them at the front door because the lady said, "Do you see the police outside?" I said no. So I hung up the phone and I walked to the front door, and then the police rang the doorbell. I opened the door, and then they just said, "Get down." They told my brother, who came downstairs because he saw the police from his room. He said, "What are they doing here?" They told him to get down too. And my brother was in shock because he said, what did you do to my baby? So it's...
How do you think he knew what happened?
He saw the blood, and at first he didn't know it was my sister. But one of the police officers said, "Who died?" I said, "My sister." And he said, "Where's she at?" I said, "The basement." Then got hysterical, and he said, "What did you do to my sister?" or something. So
What was your sister? What was she wearing?
what was she wearing? Just a t-shirt, pants. I can't really tell you the color or anything. I wasn't paying attention.
Why is that necessary? You've got a confession. I don't know. See, these guys are brave. I respect these guys. 'Cause if I was the guy on the right or left, I'm putting my fist straight through his face. I don't care.
After she died, though, I gave her a kiss and I said, "I'm sorry I had to do this, but I really love my sister."
Well, you clearly don't.
When did you do that? After you came back downstairs the first time?
Yeah, I only went down one more time. Right after I called the police, I went back down, and that's when I did that. It looked like she was dead.
Psychopaths sometimes demonstrate this bizarre dichotomy where they will portray an image of themselves where they have the utmost morals and values and enjoy feeling superior to others as a result, but then they will commit horrific acts and then justify those acts. Keith has clearly justified his actions by saying that it was to protect his sister and that he apologized to her.
Could you just describe for me how you did it?
What?
I mean, when you say the side, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, were you behind her? You know,
No,
just
no.
kind of.
I was in front of her. Like, she was lying down, like, right there. I just was kneeling, and I just did it like that. Just to her neck, like, right here and here.
Did you kneel on top of her or on the side?
Right in front of her.
Right in front of her? So at first you thought you guys were playing around, or?
Yeah. I told her that we were gonna paint.
Keith doesn't appear to be distancing himself from the crime here. He even shows on his own body where he cut his sister's neck. The only real indication that he's uncomfortable is his nervous laugh.
Right when my mom told me that she wouldn't let me use any of my money to buy a firearm.
And that would have been when you first got home from school, around 3 o'clock, 3:30?
Like 3:30.
The officers are trying to establish if the crime was premeditated. Notice that Keith holds his chin as though he's deep in thought. Not only does he appear comfortable answering this question, but he also wants to get the exact time correct.
That's her name, Sabrina.
Up until today, when you had the discussion with your mom about the firearm,
Yeah.
you stated that you wanted the firearm to shoot.
And that was it.
This is the first
Oh.
time Keith mentioned his sister's name out loud. He may have been referring to her as my sister prior to this as a way to assert his relationship to her. If Keith is a psychopath, this phrasing could be an indication that he may have felt like he had ownership over Sabrina, which could work to justify his actions to himself. In contrast, he could also have been distancing himself from her and the crime by not actually using her name until now, after he's discussed killing her. Once he's used her name, you will see that he's more comfortable using it going forward.
So he wanted to do 2 murders. He wanted to kill his sister and I assume kill the brother. Because I'm assuming the blank name is the brother. So he wanted to cut her and then shoot. Oh gosh, man.
That was all I would have used it for.
So you never thought about killing Sabrina up until that point in time?
Never.
It wasn't until your mom said, no, you're not getting a firearm.
She said I had to go out and work for it, but he was tormenting my sister, worse and worse every day.
Why did you choose her neck area?
I thought it'd be the fastest way to kill Sabrina, just as quick as possible without as much pain.
Did you ever see this anywhere? I mean,
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've heard about it. There was people who strangled people. I didn't want to do that to her, but I mean, she was in an extreme amount of pain, though. I'll tell you that. She was screaming and crying and trying to fight me, but she couldn't fight back. So,
Did you ever think at some point in time you could have stopped?
I did. Right after I cut her neck the first time, I made a little cut, and then I stopped. And then she grabbed her neck, but I just kept going.
What?
Did you ever do any research or looking into
No, sir.
about doing anything like this before on the internet or any books or anything?
No. Did you talk to my parents at all, or?
No.
Okay.
you all right?
Yeah. Also, I just like to say real quick that my mom and my stepfather are pretty good people.
Keith's comments about his parents are a form of deflection, but it seems out of place since he's accepting blame for the crime.
Hanging in there?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to drink it or not, but it's just water.
Alright, yeah, I know. Alright, thanks.
All right, hang in there. We'll get you through this.
Alright.
What do you mean hang in there, we'll get you through this? Break his jaw in 5, bruv. I mean, I guess they know he's going to jail. I guess it's that's a given. Maybe they're just there hang in there, bro. Your life's fucked.
The interrogators left the room, leaving Keith alone for about 20 minutes. He remains almost motionless the entire time, once again holding himself with his arms around his waist. The fact that an officer returns with water for Keith is interesting, because he previously declined any. There may be a sense of shock and pity on the part of the investigators. The friendly gesture could also help to build rapport and trust with Keith. After the officer leaves the room again, Keith will be left sitting by himself for another 50 minutes. Wow. This is interesting because often the police do not leave suspects sitting by themselves for long periods of time unless there is a purpose to it, such as their own need to regain emotional composure, to verify the suspect's statements, or as a tactic to unsettle the suspect or give them time to reflect on their own answers to questions. Often interrogators do not want to give the suspect too much time on their own because they may use it to concoct a story that they will then stick to. But in Keith's case, he appeared very truthful, forthcoming, and fully cooperative during the interrogation so far. Though he may have paused at times, he answered every question he was asked. Once again, Keith remains almost motionless for nearly an hour, barely shifting in his seat.
How you doing?
Alright, how are you?
You need any more water or anything?
No, I'm fine.
Bathroom?
Not right now.
Okay.
The interrogators return in order to clarify some of the details with Keith. They focus on trying to understand his motive and clarify his confession. Though a motive isn't something that must be proven in court, often a jury can struggle to imagine a suspect willingly choosing to kill someone as close to them as a sibling. Knowing Keith's motive will help a jury to imagine the reason the crime occurred.
I'm in shock, bro. Genuinely, I'm in shock.
Keith, we just want to go over a few more things with you, ask you a few more questions. We have interviewed and spoke to some other family members, so we have a better idea of what was going on within your family. So
Keith begins to give the interrogators more details about the alleged assaults which he claims Sabrina suffered. He details specific instances where he began to believe that Sabrina was suffering. Once again, his strict personal moral code comes into play here. He appears to have felt compelled to do what he believed was right, even if it meant taking such extreme measures as to kill his own sister. But I think he doesn't consider his actions as extreme. He seems to have a laser focus on just making things right, that he is completely blinded to the fact that he is committing a murder. He seems to severely lack common sense in seeing how horrific his solution is. Keith reiterates his claim that he was trying to protect his sister by killing her. This is crucial as it appears to be his motive, or at least the motive he's stating. Whether or not that is actually the case is another thing. At this point, Keith has said twice that he is 99% sure an assault had occurred, but as he tells the story for the second time, he also clarifies that he isn't completely sure that they did take place. This is, of course, a contradiction. It appears that he believes his statement, but he wavers when he admits he doesn't have proof.
Did you consider Sabrina your sister? I mean, your blood?
Absolutely.
You never wanted to exclude her from the family?
Never.
Did you ever have any ill feelings or discontent about her being born because it was with a different father?
Oh, I don't know why my mom said that. Okay.
Keith.
The investigators are not necessarily discounting Keith's motive of protecting the victim from abuse, but from a rational perspective, it does not make sense. They are fishing for other motives, more logical ones that might help make sense of the crime. The interrogators offer him other motives, ones that they seem to think make more sense, such as resenting his little sister being born. But Keith is adamant that this is untrue. On the surface, it appears that Keith had genuine familial affection for his little sister, which makes this all the more unusual in terms of motive.
Sabrina was always part of my family.
The problem I have, that we both have, is
doesn't make sense, bro.
How could you be protecting Sabrina by doing what happened tonight?
Yeah.
Doing that. I mean, it's.
Well, I'm not proud of that. There's no excuse for it.
It don't make sense.
What I was doing. It was premeditated, you could say. Looking back at
I just want to stop you real quick. When you say premeditated, what do you mean it could be premeditated?
Like the legal definition, thought out. I thought about it like at 3:30. I did it at like a couple hours later, so it was not temporary insanity. But
The fact that Keith speaks clearly and with understanding about his crime being premeditated and that the act was not the result of temporary insanity show that he is intelligent and indicates that he likely did some research before the murder, looking into what his consequences would be.
No, but what would put you in this? What at 3:30 made you start thinking that?
He clearly ain't that intelligent. He killed his own sister to protect. Don't give this kid credit. Hey, put this guy on Misfits, bro. Just for a day. That's all blood. That's insane.
You wanted to do this to her. I mean,
okay.
Something must have happened, and that's what we're trying to figure out. Because Keith, you're not telling us the whole story.
All right, I told you what happened. My
but
mom
you're not
said
telling
I
us
can't.
the whole truth.
She said I couldn't buy a firearm. I wasn't going to get this firearm and just kill right away. I was never going to do that. That was just an option I wanted to have in case anything ever happened where he got out of control with my sister. But she said, there's no way you're getting this. And he's bigger than me, he's taller than me, he's a lot stronger than me. I would rather have got Kristen out of the way than my sister, to be honest.
But you didn't, and you got rid of your only sister.
Right, and she was the person I loved the most in that family.
Oh, I get it. I think I know why he did it. I think he did it to get to blank. He killed the sister to be like, yeah. Like he loved Sabrina, but he killed Sabrina to piss off blank. You know what I'm trying to say? He killed Sabrina to get to blank, to like mess with him, being like, oh, see what I did, dickhead. Now you have to live with this for the rest of your life. So maybe that's why he's a psychopath. But we're gonna find out. Oh gosh. Plot thickens.
She was my best friend.
Clearly
Why
not.
did you love her the most?
Okay, it's not that I didn't like specifically love my parents. It's just that me and her were always close. We spent more time together than anyone else. Well, I mean, she spent the most time with her mom, but I spent the most time with her than anyone else.
The interrogators begin putting more pressure on Keith and implying that he is intentionally lying to them or not being honest to himself about his motive. Because the motive doesn't make sense, the investigators feel they must probe for a motive that does. The problem is that it looks like both are discounting the possibility that Keith's reasons may be internally consistent to himself, even if externally they are wholly unreasonable and illogical.
You seem like a good kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm believing a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm not believing everything.
Okay. I mean, if you have something you want me to clarify, I will.
Well, here's what I don't want to happen. I mean, obviously there's a death here.
Yeah.
Your sister is gone.
I know.
Tomorrow, or whenever, we go through a process where we just determine the cause of death.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, it's a full examination of a body.
Yeah. It's an autopsy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my concern is that, are we going to discover anything else that could have happened?
Yeah.
Where maybe it may have happened and Sabrina said no, and that's why this whole thing happened, because Sabrina's growing up now?
Wait, she said no to what?
That's why I'm just asking. I mean, did anything take place where Sabrina was fighting with you and said no?
Absolutely not. She was completely innocent. I saw her, we were watching SpongeBob, she said, let's paint. So I just said, lie down, and that's when she's not to blame for this.
I wouldn't say she's to blame for this. I mean, that's not what I'm trying to figure out.
You're saying, like, did she, like, instigate me or anything?
Did she instigate you, or did you maybe get excited and get aggressive to her or anything?
No, no, I was absolutely not like that, sir.
Have you ever?
No. Like I said, I think I might have did. At least there was that one time for sure, but I'm not like a child. I don't like little children.
Even when the interrogator is probing to see if Keith ever had an inappropriate relationship with his little sister, it takes him a while to understand the implication. He still refers to the officer as Sir, remaining both calm and respectful.
Keith, you made numerous statements of how beautiful Sabrina was and how much you loved her and she was
right.
How could you hurt something so beautiful? What could make you do that?
You can see that one of the interrogator's body language has changed. He's no longer sitting back with his chest open, but is hunched over and he frequently rubs his forehead and face. This could be because he's feeling frustrated that he can't seem to get the answers he's looking for from Keith. The officer is no longer trying to establish a rapport or sense of trust with Keith, but his tone remains calm, despite outward signs that he may be frustrated.
Abuse of her was getting worse and worse. Like I said, my original plan was, if he got out of line, I would just take care of him, and then I'd be here just about a 14-year-old instead of a 4-year-old. I didn't want to do that.
But Keith, you know right from wrong.
Wait.
Yes, I do.
Oh, wait. So I'm so lost. So Blank is 14. So Blank is clearly the younger brother. He's 18. She's 14 and 4. But the 14-year-old is bigger and stronger than him. This guy's just a little bitch then, isn't it?
You're a man, right?
Yeah.
The interrogators have consistently been implying or outright saying that there is something more here, a missing piece that can potentially explain more about what compelled Keith to commit this murder.
Okay, what would you do?
If you're so mad at for what he's doing, you turn around and do something worse than what you was doing.
If it was sexual, I disagree with that.
I'm not saying it's but what you did tonight. I mean, it's...
Well, it took about 4 minutes, but she's not in any more pain anymore. She's not like every day having someone torment her.
He seems to have rationalized that killing her in 4 minutes is better than her continuing to suffer.
Bruv, these noises piss me off, bruv. Every single time I hear that, I'm thinking like something. I don't know if you could. Maybe I'm not visually like showing it, but it's fucking annoying. When I see red text and I hear that noise, I'm pissed.
For example of how he has very rigid thinking and very strict ideals of right and wrong.
Did you ever talk to a school counselor?
About what?
About
your counselors always talk to you every year.
Okay, about maybe or going to the police and telling them what was going on at home, or I mean, there's options of when there's abuse taking place.
Right.
I mean, there's Department of DCFS, Department of Child Family Services. I mean, there's. Did you ever think about any of those things?
I've told my parents, and they just like laughed at me, and they said, "Don't be a snitch," and whatever. I didn't have the DCFS number.
Keith deflects here, once again rationalizing his decision.
I'm not a parent, so I really wouldn't know about that stuff. I mean, I've heard about it, but I mean, I didn't remember any of it at that time.
I just want to make sure that we're not leaving anything out because, you know, like I said before, we want to put this behind us and move on.
Okay.
Deal with what we have to deal with.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned that maybe there is still more that we haven't talked about and we haven't figured out. And I just want to make sure that, I mean, and if you feel fine and you don't want to talk about it, that's none of my business then. None of our business. But I think there's more there that we need to get out and clarify, because I can tell just, I mean, I don't know you. I just met you today, but you just don't seem like you're comfortable. Like there's something more that maybe you don't trust us to talk about yet?
I completely trust you. I trust the police. That's why I called them. I have nothing to hide. I didn't change my clothes and hide them.
No.
I didn't frame anyone. I admitted it right away.
Keith is a complex case. He's been forthcoming and cooperative the entire interrogation, and even before when he immediately called the police after killing his sister. But it could be said that he likely has antisocial personality disorder with narcissistic features, since he felt he had the right to make such a horrible decision and end the life of his sister. However, there are really no observable indications of significant antisocial or narcissistic traits during his interrogation. There are no indications of a God complex, nor any overt evidence that he has a lack of remorse. Keith doesn't appear to be enjoying the attention he's receiving from committing the murder and being involved in the interrogation as many psychopaths do.
I'm just trying to get this.
Maybe he's just schizophrenic, or he's got personality disorder, BPD or something.
You know, over with. Whatever my punishment is, it is. I'm fine with that. I have nothing to hide. I mean, if you have any more questions, I mean, I'll discuss them with you, but I'm not hiding anything.
Okay.
Was there anything that you were afraid Sabrina could say about you? Were you
No,
threatened by anything?
I told you, I had no relationship with my little sister.
Here he reverts back to referring to Sabrina as my little sister, perhaps feeling the need to once again distance himself from using her name. As you'll see, the interrogators are still fishing for a motive that makes more sense to them. They cannot seem to accept his irrational explanation that killing his sister was a way to protect her.
I'm not talking. I'm saying, did she know about something, or?
Oh, no, she did not. The only thing was, when I pulled out the knife, I knew right then that I had to kill my little sister.
No, you do.
Because she saw it. And there was no going back at that point.
Keith mentioned that once Sabrina saw the knife, he knew there was no turning back, that he had to kill her, because she knew his intentions at that point. This is strange, because he turned himself in and confessed to her murder, so why would he care that she would have maybe seen the knife and suspected he planned to harm her?
Me and my mom had a fight about the firearm thing, so she would not leave me in charge. She wasn't just friendly towards me, like she brought me dinner, but she wouldn't leave me in charge, like with Sabrina at that time.
How'd that make you feel?
We talked about, she asked me originally last week, she's like, you want to babysit for $650, Sabrina? I said, yeah, I'll babysit her for that day. Then we got in a fight, and then she just said it's gonna babysit. That had nothing to do with why I did what I did, though.
Why did you do it, bro?
The babysit was because me and her had a fight.
And how did that make you feel? That you weren't babysitting?
Well, I mean, okay, you have to understand this, though. She was in my room before that, though. Like, before they left, when she was getting done, she got us Taco Bell. Before they left, she was in my room, like, playing with me and stuff, so it wasn't like I couldn't see her, you know. My mom knew that we were playing together and whatnot, so.
But you earlier you said you first thought about doing this at 3:30.
Yeah, around there, yeah.
So then she came down into your room?
Yeah.
Late after that? And
right.
You played with her?
Yeah.
The implied motive that maybe Keith killed Sabrina to get a sort of revenge against his mother for not being allowed to babysit is a weak motive, but it's one that fits better into the police's understanding of a motive.
That was around like maybe 4 to 5, like 4:30 to 5 something.
So if you already at 3:30 had it set in your mind that you were going to do this, how come you didn't do it at that time?
Because my mom was coming home and my stepfather was still home, so I didn't want one of them to stop me before I finished it. I knew that once I started, like, Sabrina would be horribly disfigured and have, like, breathing problems the rest of her life if she didn't, like, die at that time, so.
It's clear that Keith put some thought into the crime and its possible outcomes.
Were you worried about being home?
No. I knew he'd just go in his room. I mean, he had nothing to do with it, but.
Why did you think he would just go in his room?
He listens to music, that's his thing. He didn't know anything, though, you know.
What would you say if he told us otherwise?
You could ask him, but he's not gonna. I don't know what he would say, because all I know is the truth. He didn't know I had a knife right here when I asked him to let me watch Sabrina. You could interview him. I never talked to him. I think I'm gonna cut Sabrina's throat today. I never said that to him. Or anyone. I didn't even know about it till 3:30.
So before 3:30 today, it never crossed your mind that you wanted to end Sabrina's life, harm her in any way?
I was thinking if I had to do it to anyone, I would have to do it to.
Why do it at all?
Because
you're a weak bitch.
Could not be stopped. His mom spoils him, and he has a sugar problem where he can't control himself when he has any amount of sugar.
Wouldn't you worry about, you said he was getting bigger or stronger?
Yeah, well, he was bigger and stronger than me. I wasn't worried about it. It's just that's why I didn't attack him with a knife, because I couldn't He's a lot stronger than me.
Keith appears to not want to risk himself because he says that the alleged assailant is bigger and stronger than him, which is why he needed the firearm. It could also mean that he knew the person would be able to retaliate against him if he did anything. Keith was able to logically understand this and therefore refrain from targeting the alleged assailant in order to actually protect himself from harm. However, he was willing to sacrifice Sabrina because he still felt compelled to right the wrong.
And you knew your parents.
So he's just a
pussy. So that's
Yes.
He's just a he's a pussy.
I've got some clothing for you to wear, okay, because we need to take the clothing that you have on, okay? We're going to do it on the offshoot of camera, because you have to strip down with everything that you have and give it to our evidence technician, and then we'll go ahead and we got clothes for you to put on, okay?
Throughout the interrogation, Keith maintains his story without deviating. Nothing about this case makes sense, though in the final disposition it appears that the story Keith tells is the truthful one. The next day, Keith's mother and his stepfather were brought in for a short interview. At 9:10 p.m. the previous night, while Keith was in custody, they, along with their youngest son, had returned to their home to find a crime scene. The investigators at the scene told them what had happened and that both of their other sons were in custody. During their brief interview, Keith's stepfather told police that he had been acting strangely lately, but that he was a quiet kid who mostly kept to himself and didn't have a lot of friends. However, he was certain everyone got along okay in the family except for a few normal arguments. In contrast, Keith's mother, Ann Clement, had a very different story to tell. Keep in mind that they just learned the day before that their young daughter had been killed by their son. What she said was revealed in police documents, which state that this is not verbatim. She claimed that Keith actually didn't get along with or like anyone in the family except for Sabrina, and was often ungrateful, disrespectful, and said hurtful things to his family members. There were even a few incidents of physical violence between Keith and his mother, and sometimes with one of his brothers. Before they left the sheriff's office, she also made it clear that she never saw any evidence of abuse or assault. After the interrogation, investigators took a closer look at the home. They found what was described as disturbing writings and journal entries created by a family member. Most appeared to be stories or song lyrics, and eerily some referenced violent imagery and a child being killed by having their throat cut. One read, "I left another body in the street, choked, her clothes blood-soaked, and the attack was unprovoked. I'm the reincarnation of Elizabeth Bathory. There ain't 1 inch in my house that ain't gory. Mutilating and bathing in the blood of female preteens and babies, the blood of the innocent shall grant me immortality." While another read, "I enjoy it when someone I'm about to kill screams and cries." The police concluded that Keith hadn't written the notes, nor had the family member who Keith accused of assaulting Sabrina. The family member who wrote the journal entries said they were lyrics to Eminem songs, and it was determined that they were unrelated to the crime. Keith was eventually determined to be psychologically fit to stand trial. The psychiatrist found in their report that Keith has a personality disorder.
What did I say?
But it didn't specify what disorder. Keith ended up entering a blind plea of guilty to first-degree murder for the slaying of his 4-year-old sister, Sabrina Clement. A blind plea is where a suspect pleads guilty in court before any agreement is in place. It's called a blind plea because there are no guarantees, and the sentence is all up to the judge. In 2011, none of Keith's family members or friends attended his sentencing. Though he was just as soft-spoken as he had been earlier, Keith spoke directly to the judge and once again kept to the same story that he told officers during his interrogation. He also claimed that the state attorney shouldn't, quote, even be allowed to judge him because they didn't grow up in a situation similar to his own. The prosecutors had requested a life sentence or a 60 to 100-year term. That way, Keith would be in prison for the rest of his life. However, in April 2011, he was sentenced to 40 years of straight time in prison, meaning that he must serve the 40 years and will not receive a reduction in his sentence for good behavior. Keith Randelich is currently at the Pontiac Correctional Center. His projected parole date is May 21st, 2049. He will be 58 years old by the time he is released.
What an absolute dickhead. Absolute dickhead. That's enough true crime for me. That was, yeah. I want to know your opinions in the comments. I want to know what you think and everything. I think he just has BPD, borderline personality disorder, honestly. I think he's just a very tapped individual. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Namaste.